The day humans repay their debt, and the galaxy trembles in fear. Captain Alan Bishop sat in the command chair of the Earth Federation ship Defiance, staring at the vast emptiness of space through the main viewport. The stars shone like distant diamonds against the black canvas. His weathered face showed the lines of 20 years in space service. At 45, he had seen humanity's place in the galaxy change from welcomed newcomers to barely tolerated second-class citizens. "Captain, we're approaching the edge of the Valtherian territory," said Samantha Wright, the communications officer. Her fingers moved quickly across her console, monitoring signals from nearby systems. Alan nodded. "Maintain standard patrol speed. Let's not give them any reason to complain about us." The Defiance was a mid-sized human vessel, not nearly as advanced as Valtherian ships but still impressive by Earth standards. Its hull bore the scars of previous encounters with pirates and the occasional unfriendly alien species. The crew of 120 worked with quiet efficiency, a testament to Alan's leadership. Frank Miller, the tactical officer, looked up from his station. "Captain, I still don't understand why we patrol these borders. The Valtherians have ships 3 times our size. They don't need our help." Alan turned to face the younger man. "Because it's in the treaty, Frank. We provide border security. They provide everything else." "You mean they take everything else?" Frank muttered. Alan didn't argue. The relationship between humans and Valtherians had changed a lot over 200 years. His grandfather had told him stories about the first contact, how the alien coalition had appeared when humanity was just beginning to explore beyond their solar system. The Valtherians had seemed like gods then, offering protection and technology beyond human understanding. They had helped terraform Mars in just 10 years, built massive habitats around Jupiter, and given humans the ability to travel between stars. Without them, humanity might still be confined to a handful of planets around Earth's sun. But now? Now the Valtherians took Earth's resources, limited where humans could travel and settle, and treated them like children who couldn't be trusted, with the best technology. "Ship approaching from Sector 7, Frank announced suddenly. "Valtherian design, diplomatic class." Alan straightened in his chair. On screen, the view screen showed an elegant vessel with the flowing lines typical of Valtherian engineering. It glowed with a faint blue light, its hull seeming to shift colors as it moved. "They're hailing us," Samantha said. "Open the channel." The screen changed to show a tall, slender alien with pale blue skin and large silver eyes. Ambassador Lara Daniels stood beside the alien, her presence surprising Alan. "Captain Bishop," Lara said with a formal nod. "This is High Council member Zax Turin. He's inspecting the outer territories and requested to meet the human patrol in this sector." Alan stood respectfully. "High Council member, welcome to our patrol route. The Defiance is at your service." Zax Turin's expression was hard to read. Valtherian facial features were subtle by human standards. "Captain," he said, his translator, converting his musical language into English. "I have heard reports that human ships have been venturing beyond their assigned patrol areas." "Not this ship, Council member," Alan replied evenly. "We follow our orders precisely." Lara gave him a warning look, but Alan had dealt with Valtherian officials for too long to be intimidated easily. Zax Turin made a gesture that might have been dismissal. "See that it stays that way. The Alliance has rules for good reasons. Your species is still young in space matters." Before Alan could respond, Samantha turned from her station. "Captain, I'm picking up a distress signal." "Source?" Alan asked, grateful for the interruption. "Valtherian outpost in Sector 9. It's faint, but definitely urgent." Zax Turin's silver eyes widened. "That's Outpost Crevona. Play the message." Samantha tapped her console, and a broken transmission filled the bridge. "Under attack. Unknown vessels. Shields failing. Request immediate assistance." The message ended in static. "That outpost has over 3,000 civilians," Zax Turin said, his calm demeanor cracking slightly. Alan was already moving. "How far?" Greg Holt, his chief engineer, looked up from his station. "At maximum speed, 30 minutes, Captain." "Valtherian ships in the area?" Alan asked. Samantha shook her head. The nearest patrol is 3 hours away at best. Alan saw Zax Turin and Lara exchange looks on the screen. We'll handle this, Alan decided. Set course for the outpost, maximum speed. Captain, Frank said quietly, that takes us well outside. Our patrol zone. Alan met his gaze steadily. Someone needs help. That's all that matters. Zax Turin studied Alan for a moment. We will follow in our diplomatic vessel, though it has limited defensive capabilities. I will alert our fleet. The communication ended, and the Defiance turned toward the distress call. 25 minutes later, they dropped out of faster-than-light travel near the outpost. The scene before them made even veteran crew members gasp. 5 black ships of unknown design surrounded the small Valtherian outpost. Their hulls were covered in sharp angles and red glowing lines. Energy weapons pounded against the outpost's failing shields. Life signs? Alan asked. Kate Donovan, the science officer, worked quickly at her station. Multiple Valtherian life signs in the outpost, shields at 12% and failing. As for the attacking ships, readings are strange, Captain, not matching any known species. Open a channel, Alan ordered. All frequencies. Samantha worked her console. Channel open. Attention unknown vessels. This is Captain Alan Bishop of the Earth Federation ship Defiance. You are attacking a civilian outpost in Valtherian space. Cease fire immediately and withdraw. For a long moment there was no response. Then a harsh voice replied, the translator struggling to convert it. Humans. This is not your fight. The Kryvax horde has returned to claim what was taken. Stand aside, or be destroyed with the Valtherians. Frank looked up sharply. The Kryvax, they're supposed to be extinct. Alan had heard the stories. The Kryvax were a violent species that had fought a war with the Valtherian alliance centuries ago. The history book said they had been defeated completely. Clearly, the books were wrong. Tactical assessment? Alan asked. Frank studied his readings. 5 ships, heavily armed. Each one outguns us significantly. Our best bet is to wait for Valtherian reinforcements. Alan watched as another blast hit the outpost, its shields flickering dangerously. That outpost won't last 3 hours, he said quietly. Then louder. Battle stations, all crew to emergency positions. The lights on the bridge dimmed to red as alarms sounded throughout the ship. Captain, Frank protested, we can't win this. Fight. Alan met the eyes of each bridge officer in turn. 200 years ago, when humanity was taking its first steps into space, we were vulnerable. The Valtherians protected us when we couldn't protect ourselves. He turned back to the view screen, where the outpost's shields were visibly failing. I don't know about you, but I was raised to pay my debts. He sat back in his command chair. Helm, position us between the Kryvax ships and the outpost. Weapons, target the lead vessel. Let's show them what humans can do. As the Defiance moved forward, alone against 5 enemy ships, Samantha Wright sent one final message to Earth. Defiance engaging unknown hostile force to protect Valtherian civilians. No matter what happens next, let it be known, humans pay their debts. The day humans repay their debt, and the galaxy trembles in fear. The Defiance shuddered as the first blast from the Kryvax ships hit its shields. Captain Alan Bishop gripped the arms of his command chair as the bridge lights flickered. Shields, holding at 82%, Frank Miller reported from the tactical station. His voice was steady despite the situation. Return fire, Alan ordered. Target their weapon systems. The human ship was small compared to the 5 Kryvax vessels, but it moved with greater speed and agility. The Defiance fired its main weapons, blue energy beams striking the lead enemy ship. Direct hit, Frank said, but minimal damage to their hull. Alan had expected as much. Keep firing. We just need to hold them off until help arrives. Inside, the Valtherian outpost, Ambassador Lara Daniels helped a young Valtherian child to her feet. The building had shaken violently when the shields weakened, throwing many people to the floor. This way, Lara said, guiding a group of civilians toward the inner chambers. The central areas have stronger protection. High Council member Zax Turin watched her with surprise. He had arrived at the outpost minutes before the attack began, his diplomatic vessel docking just as the first Kryvax ships appeared. "Why are you helping?" he asked, following Lara down the corridor. "You could seek safety yourself." Lara didn't slow her pace. That's not how humans do things. Outside, the battle intensified. 2 more Kryvax ships turned their attention to the Defiance, recognizing it as a threat. "Evasive maneuvers," Alan commanded. "Greg, can we get more power to the shields?" Chief Engineer Greg Holt's voice came through the communication system. "I'm giving you everything I can, Captain. These hits are too strong for our system to handle. For long." The Defiance banked sharply, narrowly avoiding a concentrated beam that would have cut through its weakened shields. As it turned, its weapons fired again, this time hitting a vulnerable spot on one of the Kryvax ships. "Their forward shield generator is damaged," Kate Donovan reported from the science station. "They're redirecting power from weapons to compensate." Alan nodded. "Good. Focus fire on that ship. Let's show them we're not as weak as they think." On the main Kryvax vessel, Commander Drac watched the battle with growing irritation. The scarred behemoth stood over 7 feet tall, his gray skin marked. With ceremonial battle cuts, he had expected to destroy the Valtherian outpost with ease. The human ship was an unwelcome surprise. "Open communication with the human vessel," he ordered. The Defiance bridge screen activated, showing the Kryvax commander. The alien's appearance made several crew members gasp. His face was a nightmare of scar tissue and metal implants with 4 glowing red eyes. "Human ship," Drac said, his voice deep and grating. "You fight well for a lesser species. The Valtherians are not worthy of such loyalty. They have used you as they have used all races they encounter." Alan stood to face the screen. "State your purpose, Commander." "Why attack a civilian outpost?" Drac made a sound that might have been laughter. "Civilians? There are no innocent Valtherians. 2 centuries ago, they nearly wiped out the Kryvax. They told the galaxy we were extinct. But some survived, hidden, planning our return." He leaned closer to the screen. "Join us, humans. The Valtherians limit your potential. In our new order, your species could claim its rightful place among the stars." "By slaughtering civilians?" Alan asked. "That's not a new order I'm interested in." "Then die with your masters," Drac replied before cutting the communication. Immediately after, all 5 Kryvax ships focused their fire on the Defiance. The human vessel rocked violently. "Shields down to 30%, Frank shouted over the noise of systems overloading. "Hull breach on Deck 4, Samantha added. "Emergency teams responding." Alan knew they couldn't survive much more. "Prepare to vent plasma from the port engine nacelle on my mark." Greg's voice came through with alarm. "Captain, that will leave us with reduced maneuverability." "We won't need to maneuver if we're destroyed," Alan replied. "Stand by." Inside the outpost, Lara and Zax Turin had reached the command center. The scene was one of chaos. Junior officers worked frantically at control stations while alarms blared. The outpost commander was nowhere to be seen. "Where is Commander Velcor?" Zax Turin demanded. A young officer looked up nervously. He took an escape pod 10 minutes ago, High Council member." Zax Turin's face darkened with anger and shame. Lara didn't waste time on outrage. "Who's coordinating the evacuation?" she asked. "No one," the officer admitted. "Systems are failing. We're trying to keep the shields up." Lara moved to a control station. "Give me access to the communication system. We need to organize these people before panic sets in." The Valtherian officers looked to Zax Turin, who nodded slowly. They granted Lara access, and she quickly began issuing calm, clear instructions throughout the outpost. Her voice helped restore order as she directed civilians to emergency shelters and organized defense teams. Outside, the Defiance executed Alan's desperate plan. The ship vented superheated plasma directly into the path of the lead Kryvax vessel, temporarily blinding its sensors. "Now," Alan ordered. "Full weapons on their main ship." The Defiance fired everything it had. Without their sensors, the Kryvax ship couldn't adjust its shields quickly enough. The weapons found a weak point, causing a massive explosion along one side of the enemy vessel. "Their weapon systems are offline," Kate reported with a note of triumph. The small victory was short-lived. The other 4 ships intensified their Attack punishing the Defiance for damaging their leader's ship. Shields failing, Frank said grimly. We can't take much more. Alan knew they had accomplished something important. They had shown the Krivax that humans would fight. But it wasn't going to be enough to save the outpost or his crew. Captain, Samantha called suddenly. Multiple ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel. Valtharian signatures. The view screen showed 6 large Valtharian warships appearing, near the battle. Their sleek designs and glowing hulls were a welcome sight. Almost immediately, they opened fire on the Krivax vessels. Valtharian fleet to human ship Defiance. A voice came through the communication system. Stand down and withdraw. We will handle this threat. The Krivax, now outnumbered, began to retreat. The damaged lead ship fired a final shot at the Defiance before following its companions into faster-than-light travel. The blast hit the already weakened ship hard. Systems exploded across the bridge, and Alan was thrown from his chair. As darkness closed in around him, Alan heard Samantha's voice faintly. Medical emergency on the bridge, Captain down. His last conscious thought was satisfaction. They had held the line long enough. The outpost, and the thousands of civilians inside, would survive. In the outpost command center, Zax Turin watched the battle end on the monitors. He turned to Lara, who was still coordinating emergency responses. The human captain, he said quietly. Why would he risk his ship and crew for us? Lara looked up from her work, her expression serious but proud. Because 200 years ago, you saved us when we couldn't save ourselves, she said simply. Humans remember their debts. And today, Captain Bishop began to repay ours. The day humans repay their debt, and the galaxy trembles in fear. Alan Bishop woke to the steady beep of medical equipment. His body felt heavy, and a dull pain throbbed in his chest. He opened his eyes slowly to see the white ceiling of the Defiance's medical bay. Welcome back, Captain, said Dr. Linda Hayes, the ship's chief medical officer. You've been unconscious for 2 days. Alan tried to sit up but winced at the sharp pain in his side. The ship? The crew? The ship is damaged but repairable, Linda answered, gently pushing him back down. We lost 5 crew members. 12. More are injured, including you. Alan closed his eyes for a moment, feeling the weight of those losses. And the outpost? Safe. The Valtharian fleet drove off the Krivax. Linda checked his vital signs on a nearby screen. You have a visitor who's been waiting for you to wake up. Should I send him in? Alan nodded, and Linda stepped outside. A moment later, to Alan's surprise, High Council member Zax Turin entered the medical bay. The tall Valtharian had to duck slightly under the doorway. Captain Bishop, Zax Turin said formally. I am pleased to see you recovering. Thank you, Council member, Alan replied, trying again to sit up. This time, Linda helped him adjust the bed to a sitting position. Zax Turin seemed uncomfortable, as if unused to speaking directly with humans. Your actions at the outpost were unexpected. We answered a distress call, Alan said simply. Any human ship would have done the same. Would they? Zax Turin asked. Even knowing they were outnumbered? Even for Valtharians who many humans resent? Alan met the alien's silver eyes steadily. Yes. After a long moment, Zax Turin nodded. I have spoken with your ambassador Daniels. She said the same. Humans remember their debts. Is this truly so important to your species? It's who we are, Alan said. 200 years ago, the Valtharian Alliance saved humanity when we were vulnerable. We don't forget that, even if things have changed, between our peoples. Zax Turin's expression was hard to read, but his voice carried a note of respect. The Defiance will be repaired in our main shipyard. Your crew will receive our highest medical care. And, he paused, seeming to make a decision. I have requested an emergency session of the High Council. I wish for you and Ambassador Daniels to address it. Alan couldn't hide his shock. No human had ever addressed the full Valtharian High Council. Why? He asked. Because things must change, Zax Turin replied. And the Krivax return changes everything. After Zax Turin left, Alan received his bridge officers. They reported on the ship's status and the ongoing repairs. The Valtharians are actually helping us, Frank Miller said with surprise. Their engineers are working alongside Greg and his team. I've never seen them treat humans as equals before. Something's changed, Samantha Wright agreed. News of what we did has spread throughout the Alliance. The Valtharians are calling it the Human Stand. Kate Donovan, the science officer, looked troubled. Captain, I've been analyzing the data we collected during the battle. The Kryvax technology shows signs of precursor influence. The others fell silent. The precursors were the legendary first species of the galaxy, extinct for millions of years. Their technology was considered almost magical in its advancement. Are you certain? Alan asked. Kate nodded. Their weapon systems used energy patterns, similar to artifacts found in precursor ruins, but that's impossible. The Kryvax were a primitive species before their war with the Alliance. How could they obtain such technology? Someone must be helping them, Alan concluded, and that makes this much bigger than a simple revenge attack. 3 days later, Alan stood before the Valtharian High Council alongside Ambassador Lara Daniels. The council chamber was a vast hall with 12 tall chairs arranged in a semicircle. Light streamed in through crystal windows, casting rainbow patterns across the polished floor. Zax Turin had assumed the central chair, indicating his new position as council leader. The other 11 members watched the humans with a mixture of curiosity and uncertainty. For the first time in our history, Zax Turin began, humans stand before the full council as equals. Captain Alan Bishop and Ambassador Lara Daniels, you have earned this right through your actions at Outpost Crivona. Alan stood straight despite his healing injuries. His dress uniform felt tight around his bandages, but he ignored the discomfort. The Kryvax have returned, Zax Turin continued, addressing the council. And they have returned with technology they should not possess. In the 3 days since the attack on Crivona, 6 other outposts have been attacked. Our fleet is stretched, thin. Murmurs spread among the council members. One, an older Valtharian with pale green skin, spoke up. What does this have to do with the humans? One brave but foolish stand does not change their status in the Alliance. Lara stepped forward before Alan could respond. Council member, while you debate our status, the Kryvax are gaining ground. Lieutenant Kate Donovan of the Defiance has identified precursor technology in their weapon systems. This threat is greater than anything the Alliance has faced in centuries. The council chamber erupted in shocked discussions. Precursor technology in the hands of the vengeful Kryvax was a nightmare scenario. Zax Turin raised his hand for silence. Ambassador Daniels is correct. We face a crisis that threatens all Alliance species, including humans. The old ways of thinking must change. He stood, towering over even the other Valtharians. I propose a full military partnership with Earth. Human tactics proved effective against the Kryvax when our own failed. We need their perspective, their unpredictability. Alan watched in amazement as the council voted. The motion passed 8-4. For the first time, humans would be treated as full military partners within the Valtharian Alliance. As they left the council chamber, Lara turned to Alan with excitement in her eyes. Do you understand what just happened? This changes everything, for humanity. Alan nodded, but his mind was on the Kryvax and their mysterious precursor technology. It's just the beginning, Lara. The real fight is coming. At least we won't face it alone, she replied. Later that night, as Alan stood on the observation deck of the Valtharian station, watching workers repair his ship, Lieutenant Kate Donovan joined him. Captain, I've continued analyzing the battle. Data, she said quietly. I don't think the Kryvax found precursor technology by accident. The energy signatures suggest it was recently made, not ancient. Alan turned to her, understanding the implications immediately. You're saying someone is creating new precursor-level technology and giving it to the Kryvax? Kate nodded grimly. Someone wants this war, Captain, and they're using the Kryvax to start it. Alan looked back at the Defiance, its damaged hull, now swarming with both human and Valtharian repair crews working together. Then they'll get their war, he said softly, but not the one they're expecting. The day humans repay their debt, and the galaxy trembles in fear. 3 months passed since the attack on the Valtherian outpost. The war with the Kryvax grew worse each week. Despite having superior numbers, the Valtherian fleet struggled against the advanced weapons of the enemy. 27 outposts had fallen. Millions of civilians fled to safer systems. But not all news was bad. The human ships, once considered primitive by Valtherian standards, had proven remarkably effective in combat. Their unpredictable tactics confused the Kryvax, who were used to the formal battle patterns of Valtherian vessels. Admiral Patricia Russell stood on the bridge of the Alliance flagship Guardian. At 52, she had spent 30 years in Earth's space fleet. 6 months ago, she had been a mid-level commander. Now she led the combined human-Valtherian task force. "Status report," she ordered, her gray-streaked hair pulled back in a tight bun. Her second-in-command, a Valtherian named Trembles, responded immediately. "The Kryvax fleet has taken position near the Binary system. 17 ships, including 3 of their new heavy destroyers." Patricia studied the tactical display. The Binary system had valuable resources and a population of over 6 million. It was also the site of an ancient precursor ruin that scientists had been studying for decades. "They want the ruins," she said. "They've avoided directly attacking any system with precursor artifacts until now." "Agreed," Trembles said. "Our analysts believe they seek something specific." Patricia made her decision quickly. "Order battle groups 3 and 5 to move to these positions." She marked points on the display. "We'll catch them in a 3-way trap when our main fleet arrives." Trembles looked uncertain. "Admiral, standard doctrine would suggest—" "Standard doctrine isn't working against the Kryvax," Patricia interrupted. "That's why the Council put a human in charge." The Valtherian nodded and transmitted the orders. In the 3 months since humans had become full military partners, many Valtherians had struggled to adapt to human command styles, but the results spoke for themselves. Admiral Russell's task force had scored the only significant victories against the Kryvax. On Earth, weapons development had accelerated. Dr. Victor Alvarez worked in a large laboratory filled with advanced equipment. At 35, he was considered the brightest physicist of his generation. He had been studying the data from Kryvax ships captured in recent battles. "Run the simulation again," he told his team, a mix of humans and Valtherians working. Side by side, on a large screen, a virtual model of a shield system formed. It pulsed with energy as simulated Kryvax weapons fired at it. 87% deflection, reported one of the Valtherian scientists. "Better, but still not enough." Victor rubbed his tired eyes. "The problem is in the modulation. The precursor technology uses phase shifting we don't fully understand." He made adjustments to the model, his fingers flying across the control panel. "There, try it now." The simulation ran again. This time, the shield held strong against the virtual attack. 96% deflection, the scientist exclaimed. "How did you solve it?" Victor smiled. "I stopped thinking like a Valtherian scientist. Your people have been studying precursor technology for centuries, but always with the same approach. I looked at it differently." He showed them his changes. The precursors didn't use linear energy patterns like modern ships. Their systems operated in cycles like waves in water. Understanding dawned on the Valtherian faces. One of them, an older scientist named Kelmara, spoke with wonder. "All these years, we've been trying to replicate their technology with our methods. We should have been adapting our methods to theirs." "That's what humans do best," Victor said. "We adapt." In the Valtherian capital, Alan Bishop attended a formal reception. His injuries had healed, and he now wore the uniform of a fleet captain. The Defiance had been repaired and upgraded with Valtherian technology, making it one of the most advanced human ships in space. Ambassador Lara Daniels joined him, wearing an elegant blue dress that complemented her dark skin. "Captain Bishop, enjoying the attention?" Alan smiled slightly. "Not really, I'd rather be on my ship." "Well, enjoy it while you can. The Council has new orders for you." Before she could explain, the room fell silent as Zax Turin entered. As High Council leader, He rarely attended social functions. His presence signaled something important. Zax Turin approached Alan and Lara directly. "Captain Ambassador, we need to speak privately." They followed him to a small room away from the main hall. Inside waited an elderly Valtherian female that Alan recognized as Renvora, the Alliance's leading expert on precursor history. "What I am about to share is known to only a few," Zax Turin began. "Renvora has made a disturbing discovery." The elderly Valtherian spoke softly. 2 centuries ago, when we first encountered your species, it was not by chance." Alan and Lara exchanged surprised looks. "What do you mean?" Lara asked. "There is an ancient precursor prophecy," Renvora explained. "It speaks of a young species that would save the galaxy from destruction. The signs pointed to Earth." "You helped humanity because of a prophecy?" Alan asked, disbelief in his voice. Zax Turin shook his head. "Most considered it a myth. A few believed, enough to convince the Council to make contact with your world and offer protection. And now?" Lara pressed. "Now we face the destruction foretold," Renvora said. "The Kryvax are merely pawns. We have identified the true enemy." She activated a small projector, showing an image of an elegant alien with purple skin and 4 arms. "The Shadri. For millennia, they have been our allies, or so we believed. In truth, they have resented Valtherian dominance and worked in secret to overthrow us." "They restored the Kryvax?" Alan asked. "And provided them with weapons based on precursor designs," Zax Turin confirmed. "But they did not expect humanity to join us so completely. Your actions have disrupted their plans." Alan thought for a moment. "What do you need from us?" "The Shadri will soon realize their proxy war is failing," Zax Turin said. "They will reveal themselves. When they do, we must be ready." "Captain Bishop," Renvora said, her ancient eyes fixing on Alan's face. "The prophecy spoke of a defender who would stand when all others fell. We believe that defender is you." Alan felt uncomfortable under her gaze. "I'm just a ship captain who stood against impossible odds to protect those who once protected you," Zax Turin pointed out. "The Shadri fear humans most of all, not because of your technology or numbers, but because of your nature. You remember debts. You fight for principles. This makes you unpredictable to them." Lara touched Alan's arm. "We need to take this seriously, Alan." Alan nodded slowly. "What's the plan?" "You will take command of our newest vessel," Zax Turin said. "The Redemption, a hybrid of human and Valtherian design, with Dr. Alvarez's new shield technology. Your mission is to find proof of Shadri involvement that we can present to the Alliance Council." As they left the meeting, Lara looked at Alan with concern. "A prophecy, Alan, does that bother you?" Alan thought about it. "What bothers me is that someone is using the Kryvax to start a war. Prophecy or not, that needs to be stopped." "And if you really are this defender?" Alan smiled grimly. "Then the Shadri should be very worried. Because humans don't just remember their debts. We pay them in full. The day humans repay their debt, and the galaxy trembles in fear." The Redemption moved silently through space, its hybrid design unlike any ship in the galaxy. Captain Alan Bishop stood on the bridge, watching the stars through the main viewport. After 6 months of searching, they had finally found what they sought. "Status report," he ordered. Frank Miller, who had followed Alan from the Defiance, checked his tactical console. "The Kryvax fleet is gathered at the coordinates, 18 ships, including their flagship." "And our special guest?" Alan asked. "Long range." "Scanners confirm a Shadri vessel among them," Kate Donovan replied from the science station. "It matches the profile of High Overseer Zelnar's personal ship." Alan nodded. This was the proof they needed. High Overseer Zelnar was the leader of the Shadri, and officially an ally of the Valtherian Alliance. His presence among the Kryvax fleet would confirm the Shadri's treachery. "Is the recording equipment functioning?" Alan asked. "Yes, Captain," Samantha Wright answered. "Everything is being transmitted directly to Admiral Russell and the Valtherian High Council." Alan took a deep breath. "Begin approach. Stealth mode. The Redemption moved closer to the Kryvax fleet. Its advanced cloaking technology, based on both human and Valtherian designs, kept it hidden from enemy sensors. They needed visual confirmation of the Shadri's involvement, close enough that it couldn't be denied. As they approached, Kate's console beeped urgently. "Captain, I'm detecting enormous energy readings from the Kryvax system. They're building something." On the view screen, a massive structure became visible. It orbited the Kryvax sun, partially hidden in the corona. The size of a small moon, it pulsed with the distinctive energy signature of precursor technology. "What is that?" Frank asked, his voice hushed. "A weapon," Kate replied after analyzing her readings. "Its power output is beyond anything we've ever seen. It could destroy entire planets." Alan's mind raced. This was far worse than they had imagined. The Shadri weren't just trying to overthrow Valtherian leadership. They were planning to destroy any world that opposed them. "We need to warn the Alliance," he said. "Samantha, send all scan data immediately." "Captain," Frank interrupted, "they've detected us. Kryvax ships are moving to intercept. The Redemption's stealth systems were advanced, but not perfect. At such close range, the enemy had noticed the distortion in space caused by their presence." "Battle stations," Alan ordered, "but do not engage unless absolutely necessary. Our mission is to gather intelligence, not start a battle." It was too late. 5 Kryvax ships moved toward them, weapons charging. Behind them, the massive weapon platform began to glow more intensely. "They're activating the weapon," Kate reported, alarm in her voice. Energy levels rising rapidly. Alan made a quick decision. "Send an emergency transmission to Admiral Russell. The Alliance fleet needs to get here now. Then get us out of here, maximum speed." Before they could act, a powerful beam struck the Redemption. The ship shuddered violently. "Direct hit," Frank called out. "Shields holding at 70%. Return. Fire. Defensive pattern only," Alan ordered. "We need to buy time." The Redemption fired its weapons, striking one of the approaching Kryvax ships. Unlike their previous encounters, the enemy vessel's shields failed almost immediately under the impact of the Redemption's advanced weapons. "Captain," Samantha said, "we're receiving a transmission. It's from the Shadri vessel." "On screen," Alan replied. The image of High Overseer Zelnar appeared. The Shadri leader's purple skin gleamed in the light of his ship, his 4 arms folded, in a gesture of superiority. "Captain Bishop," he said, his voice smooth as oil. "The human who disrupted our plans. How fitting that you will witness our moment of triumph." "Why?" Alan asked simply. "The Alliance has brought peace to the galaxy for centuries." Zelnar laughed. "Peace under Valtherian rule. The Shadri have existed for millions of years. We were exploring the stars when the Valtherians were still primitive creatures. Yet they presumed to lead the Alliance." "So this is about pride?" Alan asked, disgusted. "This is about rightful place," Zelnar corrected. "The Kryvax serve their purpose. Once the Valtherians are destroyed, a new order will rise, with the Shadri at its head." "And humanity?" Zelnar's expression darkened. "Humanity was never supposed to join the Alliance so completely. The prophecy is just a story," Alan interrupted. "No," Zelnar insisted. "We have known of the prophecy for millennia. Why do you think we manipulated the Valtherians into finding your species? We expected gratitude to keep you submissive, not for you to rise as equals. You have disrupted the cosmic order, and for that, your worlds will be the first to feel our new weapons. Power." The transmission ended abruptly. Alan turned to his crew. "They wanted the Valtherians to find us?" Frank asked, confused. "A game within a game," Alan replied. "But it doesn't matter now. What matters is stopping that weapon." Kate studied her. Readings. "Captain, I've identified a potential weakness. The weapon draws power directly from the star through that connection point." She highlighted a section of the structure on the display. "Disrupt that, and the entire system could overload." Before Alan could respond, space around them lit up with new arrivals. The Alliance fleet had arrived, led by Admiral Russell's flagship Guardian. "Captain Bishop," Admiral Russell's voice came through the communication system. "We received your data. The Valtherian High Council has ordered the arrest of all Shadri representatives. The Alliance fleet is engaging the Krivax now. Alan watched as dozens of Alliance ships moved into battle formation. Admiral, we've identified a weakness in their weapon platform. We need to target this connection point before they can fire. Understood, Russell replied. We'll create a diversion. The Redemption has the best chance of getting close enough for a precision strike. The battle began in earnest. Alliance ships engaged the Krivax fleet while the Redemption moved toward the weapon platform. Despite Dr. Alvarez's advanced shields, the human Valtherian hybrid ship took heavy damage as it approached its target. Shields failing, Frank reported as another hit rocked the ship. Hull breaches on decks 3 and 4. Maintain course, Alan ordered. Get us in firing position. The Redemption pushed forward, taking hit after hit. Systems failed across the ship as they closed in on the target. In range, Frank announced. Weapons locked on the connection point. Fire everything we have, Alan commanded. The Redemption unleashed its full arsenal at the weapon platform's vulnerable spot. Direct hits caused a chain reaction of explosions along the structure. The connection to the star began to break apart. It's working, Kate called out. The weapon is destabilizing. Suddenly, a massive energy beam from the Shadri flagship struck the Redemption. The ship lurched violently and half the bridge systems exploded in showers of sparks. Multiple hull breaches, Samantha shouted over the noise. We're losing power. Alan saw that the weapon platform was beginning to collapse. Its precursor power, core destabilizing. But the Shadri flagship was turning toward the Alliance command ship, where Admiral Russell and the Valtherian leaders were coordinating the battle. With the last of the Redemption's power, Alan positioned his crippled ship between the Shadri vessel and its target. Divert all remaining power to forward shields, he ordered. As his ship broke apart around him, Alan sent a final transmission to the fleet. Remember why we fight, not for vengeance, but because we pay our debts. Today, that debt is paid in full. The eyes, Shadri weapon fired. The Redemption took the full force of the blast, its shields failing completely as it protected the Alliance command ship. Moments later, the weapon platform exploded in a blinding flash, taking the Shadri flagship with it. In the aftermath, the Krivax surrendered, learning how they had been manipulated by the Shadri. The Alliance emerged stronger than before, with humanity no longer seen as the youngest, weakest member, but as its heart and conscience. 1 year later, Admiral Patricia Russell and Zax Turin stood on the observation deck of the new Alliance, headquarters built in Earth orbit. Below them, the blue-white planet gleamed against the blackness of space. I still wonder, Russell said quietly. Did you know? Did your people help us because of the prophecy? Zax Turin considered before answering. Some believed. Most thought it myth. Now all know it truth. He turned to face her. The galaxy once feared what humans might become. Now it trembles at what you are, not conquerors, but protectors. The species that remembers its debts. Across Alliance space, the story spread. When all seemed lost, when ancient enemies returned with godlike weapons, it was humanity, the youngest, the weakest, the most unexpected species, who stood firm. The species that remembers kindness, repays debts and fights not for glory, but for what is right. And the galaxy trembled, not in fear of human vengeance, but in awe of human grace.